Thanks for joining us for part 4 of the George R. R. Martin Fishbowl sit down. And one thing that George loves and I love as well is wolves. And I have a tattoo. We'll see if George has a wolf tattoo, but I know he has a wolf sanctuary he's heavily involved in. We'll hear all about that. You're in Santa Fe now. I really was interested in some of the things you're doing in Santa Fe. I think it's pretty interesting because I don't know anybody in Santa Fe, but I know that one thing that you do have down.
Come visit.
I would love to. I'll take you up on the invitation. And there's one thing I want to do. I want to go with you to the wolf sanctuary because I know I'm a big fan of wolves, and I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask if you're planning on getting a wolf tattoo anytime soon.
That is pretty righteous. That is pretty righteous.
Are you gonna get a tat, man? How much do you love wolves?
I'm not a tattoo kind of guy. But yes, it's called the Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary. It's not actually in Santa Fe. It's about 5 hours from here.
Okay.
In a little town called Candy Kitchen, New Mexico. But they have more than 50 wolves and wolf dogs and a few other things like dingoes and New Guinea singing dogs, one of the rarest dogs in the world.
Right.
And it's a sanctuary. They don't breed them. They don't sell them. They give them a home for in nice large enclosures. Rescues, most of them. The wolf dogs in particular, there was a trend a number of years ago of people wanting to have wolf dogs, half wolf, half dog. And, they'd be cute as puppies, but then they'd get big and too much for people to handle. And they'd give them up, and so they wind up in the sanctuary. We have to do that with Game of Thrones. I mean, Jerome Flynn, who plays Bronn, has a very nice message on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Jerome Flynn for Peter.
Saying, don't adopt wolves. You may love them in Game of Thrones. You see the dire wolves, but don't go out and get a wolf puppy or a wolf dog or anything like that, because especially if you live in an apartment or a house with a tiny little backyard.
Yeah.
These are big dogs, and if they have wolf in them, they're half wild or they're all wild, and they're not meant for an environment like that.
And then you got to send, when they get too big, you got to send them up north, curiously. But so I was gonna ask you what your favorite thing about wolves are. I mean, like, what drew you to wolves? Because it seems like you have a passion for them.
Well, I like their ferocity. I like the fact that they're social animals, that they have they're packs. They're not lonely hunters. They have their own society, their own packs. They work together. I tried to make that point in Game of Thrones, and it'll come back to it in the later books. When winter comes and the cold winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. And human beings need to keep that in mind too. We all need each other. We all need packs. That's true on a football team as well. Yeah. The individual star can't succeed without great teammates around him.
That's what I love.
Best running back in the world, but you need an offensive line.
Yeah, and I think it's fitting for a D lineman because what I love about Wolves is the pack mentality and being D lineman, the way we rotate and the way we chase our prey, quarterbacks and running backs. I mean, you almost feel like you are a pack, and that ferocity you talked about, it's applicable on the football field. Obviously, if I ever ran into a real one, it would scare me and I'd piss down my leg. But we got these coy wolves in Virginia now, where I live. They're like crosses, and they're pretty creepy looking. I love looking at them, but I don't want to run into them on a trail. So
the dire wolves, of course, in Game of Thrones are fictional, but there were real dire wolves in prehistory.
Yep. You
can see some of them at the La Brea tar pits.
Yep.
And they were fascinating creatures in themselves. They're extinct now, but they're not as large as the ones in my show, but they're larger than today's wolves. And they ran in much larger packs.
Yeah.
Today a wolf pack is 6 to 12 maybe is the average size of a pack. The dire wolves would have packs of 50 to 100. Can you imagine, being a caveman or something, and suddenly 100 dire wolves are swarming over your camp? It must have been pretty blood curdling.
I'm Dr. Mayun Belisi, a researcher at La Brea Tar Pits and Museum. As an expert on carnivores, I'll tell you about dire wolves. They lived from about 500,000 to 11,000 years ago, going extinct at the end of the last ice age when our largest animals in North America, like mammoths and saber-toothed cats, died off. Direwolves coexisted with saber-toothed cats, Both were large predators and hunted differently. Saber-toothed cats ambushed their prey, while dire wolves hunted like gray wolves today by chasing down prey like juvenile bison and cow. Now, dire wolves were the linebackers of the wolf family. They had stronger jaws and teeth than gray wolves today. They could crush bone better to get to nutritious marrow inside.
I think sometimes that's where our legends of werewolves and vampires and all that come from our Stone Age ancestors who didn't know what was out there in the night, but it was pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, you mentioned La Brea tar pits. I grew up early years in Southern California. My mom used to take me all the time. I've always loved, hearing about extinct animals. I was actually watching a video last night about short-faced bears. Do you remember those? They were giant bears, like twice the size of grizzly bears. I mean, saber-toothed tigers. What do you think about like bringing animals back? Are you a proponent of like, cloning DNA or bringing back, not in a Jurassic Park way, because they totally botched that because at the end of the day, in real life, if you did that, it would be a disaster. But I'm saying in a controlled environment where you reintroduce an animal that's extinct.
I'm in favor of it. I mean, there's an organization called Belong Now, and I'm a supporter of them. I've donated money to them, and they're trying to bring back the passenger pigeon, by breeding from contemporary pigeons. But the big goal would be eventually to bring back the woolly mammoth, and some maybe some of these and the dodo.
Yep.
Some of these animals we killed ourselves in recent history. I mean,
Yeah.
dodos existed, until the 1700s. I think the Dutch found them and wiped them out pretty in a generation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the idea of bringing it back.
What about
even Jurassic Park? I'd love to see a real life dinosaur. I think Jurassic Park, the first movie, is very entertaining, but I don't agree with Jeff Goldblum's message there that disaster was inevitable because we brought back dinosaurs and they were not meant to exist with man. That's a very anti-science measure. If you actually look at Jurassic Park, the reason the disaster occurs is because the fat guy turns off the fence.
right?
Right. If he doesn't turn off the fence, nothing bad happens.
Everybody here on set agrees with you. It's like, hey, listen, because that was the whole thing. It was like, man, they just botched it. They had a real good thing going. You go see dinosaurs. I would love to go see dinosaurs. I'm all for it. I'm glad you said it. I want to bring them all back. I want to bring the dinosaurs back, Tasmanian tiger, like all this stuff, man. Like I'm really into it.
Tasmanian tiger, yeah.
Yeah, dude. You're talking about movies. You're talking about Jurassic Park. One thing you got in New Mexico is you have an independent theater, which I think is really cool. So my two burning questions about that. First thing, what's your stance on bringing in your own candy and not buying it at the front? Is that a bad move, or is that kind of like gamesmanship?
I don't think we enforce it. We wouldn't frisk anyone, but you could probably get away with it.
Okay.
Well, we do have the best popcorn in town. We're very proud of our popcorn.
Okay.
We have organic Amish popcorn that we get from Indiana, and we put real butter on it, none of this golden flavor crankcase oil stuff. And we have like 20 different toppings. You can put Parmesan cheese or Brewer cheese or chili peppers that you can sprinkle on your popcorn. No extra charge. So you don't want to bring in your candy. You want to get our popcorn.
I'm coming. Yeah, I'm coming to your theater.
A drink with the movie.
Oh my gosh, dude. All right, I'm coming to the theater. The second burning question is, what are your favorite sports movies?
I like boxing movies, I think, more than I actually like real boxing.
Cinderella Man?
The Cinderella Man is great.
Yeah.
The Rocky movies, especially the first one.
Yeah.
But those are all good. And some of the older ones, like The Harder They Fall.
Okay.
With Humphrey Bogart.
You're not even a 10th rate fighter. You're what they call a bum.
What about Raging Bull? Is Raging Bull too dark?
Raging Bull is pretty dark, but it's a good movie.
It's tough.
Yeah,
to watch.
it's pretty powerful.
He was a great
incredible
boxer.
Performance by De Niro there.
Yeah.
Cinderella Man's sort of a feel-good movie.
Yes, we can balance Raging Bull and Cinderella Man, and we got a good mixture there. Thanks for watching part 4 of The Fishbowl with George R.R. Martin. Part 5 is all about what's next for somebody as successful as George R.R., somebody who seemed to do it all. How do you follow that up? Well, he's got a new series coming out on Hulu called Wild Cards. We'll hear from him about that.